drive!
Stretch! It's a dig! Hit is far!
She is gone!
I don't believe what I just saw!
You're locked into the Hot Stove Cast. Here is the Hot Stove host. Hello and welcome to the Hot Stove Cast. I'm the Hot Stove host, Zach Simon. Thank you so much for joining me here on episode 111. Yes, the 11th show of the first season. Jam-packed show for you today. Austin Davidson, second baseman for the Harrisburg Senators, the AA affiliate of the Washington Nationals, joins the program. Fun interview. Guy's a California kid, went to Pepperdine, so we talked a little bit of LeBron. He actually won a gold medal with Team USA with the 14-under team. He's a Chick-fil-A fanatic. When the West Coast Conference, Pepperdine, they won the championship. Pepperdine won the championship. They wound up going to a celebrities party. Fun interview with Austin. Appreciate him for his time. No ballpark chow down today, just because I didn't feel like it. However, I must say, I was in Harrisburg. They have the best fries in minor league baseball until further notice. It's like they've got these thick fries. They're like not super thick. They're steak fries. But they've also got a crunch that rivals any other fry, and they've got a little bit of spice to them. Oh, man, they're so good. Check them out. They're on my Twitter at HotStoveCast. But more of a fun show today, actually. Long Wild Pitch, as you know, is a more fun segment. Players Weekend is coming up later in August, and they they let players have nicknames, and I went through the entire list. I picked out my favorites, like a minimum of one from every team. They're really funny. Stay tuned for that. And then lastly, I'm going to wrap up the show checking out the playoff picture. I don't usually check the standings until about this time of the year. I suppose you can do it before the trade deadline too, get a better idea of what's going on there. But without further ado, let's just dive right into it. It's time for Wild Pitch.
Just a bit outside.
Killing me, Smalls.
Leading things off here in Wild Pitch, a former National, Jason Worth, did an interview with the Philadelphia Sports Talk radio host and told the host that he inquired about playing for all 30 MLB teams except the Mets. He has no desire to play for the Mets. This is what he told the guy. Speaking of the Mets, Jacob deGrom, you may have heard of him. Him and his 1.77 ERA. Yes, deGrom picked up his first win yesterday, his first win since June 18th. He might be the first guy ever to win the Cy Young with a losing record, so stay posted on that. But speaking of the Mets and their pitching woes, if you will, Jason Vargas, pitching in 2018, he's got 47 innings, 47 and 2/3 innings, 46 earned runs, and 20 walks, Position players pitching in 2018, 48 and 1/3 innings, 54 earned runs, and 28 walks, Not necessarily the most smooth sailing for a guy who had an ERA in the low twos about 2 years ago, but I think a lot of people would tell you, particularly the baseball nerds, would tell you that was a little bit of an aberration. Nonetheless, moving on here, you probably saw this. It was the video of a guy in minor league baseball, Metzger is his last name, basically taking home, feuding with the umpire, if you will, about balls and strikes, and taking a trash can and putting it behind home plate. What's hilarious, and you may not have seen, is I have the entire audio of the incidents that started from the beginning, not just the guy putting the trash can behind home plate. And what's hysterical is what the player tells the ump right toward the end, right after he places down the trash can. It's all audible, and it's right here.
And now he's been thrown out. And now he's been thrown out.
You've been fucking awful. I'm watching you out here.
And Brennan Metzger certainly giving Mike Jarble an earful here behind home. He really thought he saw that ball away. Michael Slack doing everything he can to keep Brennan Metzger away from any more. And Brennan Metzger's hot. That's a passionate ball player there in Brennan Metzger. And obviously said a magic word or two to get him tossed out of the game. So Metzger has been ejected here. And now Metzger is not done yet. He's going to do something here with a garbage can, and he put the garbage can behind home plate. And the crowd is saying, "We hear you, Brennan." That's a classic.
At the end, Brennan Metzger tells the umpire to go to your home, and he points to the trash can. Just absolutely amazing. Metzger actually plays for the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks, an independent league team, so correction there. Moving on here in wild pitch to a minor league team, the Clearwater Threshers, the Phillies High A affiliate. They had a no-hitter. They were no-hit, rather, and they won anyway in a 7-inning game. Okay, they were no-hit, and they won. Can you imagine? Like, how does that clubhouse celebration even work? Like, bittersweet. It's got to be bittersweet. Like, but obviously you won, so you're going to be a little more happy. Moving on to another minor league team, the Indianapolis Indians. They had 2 cycles from obviously 2 different players in one game, Jacob Stallings and Kevin Newman. This is believed to be the second time in a minor league baseball game in 2018 2 teammates have hit for the cycle in the same game. The Class A advanced San Jose Giants did so in April. And by the way, according to an ESPN statistics, the odds of this happening at a major league level is 1 in 492,804. Okay? I can't believe there's been 2 in a single season. Just hearing that firsthand, I thought that would be the first time ever. But no, I can only think of one. I'm a Phillies fan. I can only think of one cycle that's ever happened for the Phillies. That would be David Bell. And I apologize to the fans if I missed one of late. I feel like Jason Worth may have actually done it, but I don't. Yeah, I know David Bell did it. But anyway, moving on here. German Marquez, pitcher for the Rockies, threw an immaculate inning this week. Speaking of crazy baseball feats, 9 strikes and 3 punch-outs. Man, that's got to feel good. I can't even. Yeah. Wow. I can't even. Like, that has to be the equivalent of hitting a 450-foot home run for a pitcher. I mean, every pitcher, that's like the third thing pitchers dream of, other than a no-hitter or a perfect game. Immaculate inning. Speaking of strikeouts, Felix Hernandez struck out Adrian Beltre in fantastic fashion. You have to go see this video. This is something that really just needs to be seen in video, seen for yourself. And I can't do it justice. I listened to the audio. It doesn't do it justice. But basically, Hernandez strikes out Beltre, who, remember, they were teammates for a long time in Seattle. Beltre had a brief hiatus with the Red Sox, and then he went to the Rangers. So the rivalry, if you will, is strong. They play each other off in the same division. It's so funny. Beltre, I mean, the swing is terrible, as you might imagine. But the best part is Felix Hernandez just bends over and just starts to die laughing. And he points at Beltre to go to the dugout. He points at Beltre, and then he points to the dugout. That's unheard of. Stick around, okay? Austin Davidson, second baseman for the Harrisburg Senators, is coming up. But I want to say, after the interview, there's going to be a player nickname bonanza for Players Weekend. It's awesome. You do not want to miss that. You don't want to miss this interview with Austin Davidson either. It was a really good time. By the way, thank you to Terry Byram, Greg Wong, and Harrisburg Senators for setting all that up. But without further ado, here's my interview with Harrisburg Senators second baseman Austin Davidson. Joining the HotStoveCast is a 2014 13th round pick out of Pepperdine University. He's a prospect in the Washington Nationals organization. He plays second base for the AA Harrisburg Senators. Austin Davidson is kind enough to give me a few minutes of his time. Austin, thanks so much for your time. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, Zach. I appreciate it.
Great to have you. Now, I want to lead off with one of your more special accomplishments. You were actually a gold medalist at the 14-under Junior Olympic Team Championships. You won the gold medal. What were your more fond memories about winning that gold, and did you ever imagine in your entire life you'd win an Olympic gold medal?
No, to be honest. I mean, you always think the Olympics were around when I was younger, and then they started the World Baseball Classic, so it's kind of cool to see players wearing USA across their chest. And so when I got the opportunity to play, that was once in a lifetime thing. But I think one of the coolest memories I have are seeing the guys who were on that team and seeing where they are now. Like Matthew Crownover, he was our ace, I would say, on that team. And then you had guys like Zach Davies, who's in the major leagues right now. Albert Almora was our center fielder, and it's just like looking back, like I was part of that team. It's kind of cool to put myself with those guys.
Zach Davies making good contributions with the Brewers right now. How cool would it be for you to step into the box as a Nat versus Zach Davies? Have you ever pictured that moment?
I wouldn't say I pictured it, but definitely it's been a while since I last saw him, so it would be so I got to remind him first, like, hey, like, you remember way back when? But no, it would be awesome because I'm sure USA Baseball would love it because they follow up with guys who played past alumni and played with teams before, so I think it'd be kind of cool.
Talking to Olympic gold medalist Austin Davidson. Austin, you actually had 7 strikeouts in 3 scoreless innings in that 1400 championship. Have you ever given any thought to potentially being a reliever if called upon in like a blowout at the Major League Baseball level?
I would do anything, whatever it takes. Whatever the team needs, I kind of do that now. And it was when I was younger, my family and my uncle, who's one of my biggest fans, he'd always, whatever the team needs, like play here, play there. Or my youngest travel ball coach, he would teach us to play everywhere. And so now I haven't pitched in professional baseball, but I can say I played left field, first, second, third. I played short in low A, and then I caught here in double A like a month ago.
Wow, he played catcher. I didn't realize that. Austin, you were once quoted as saying, I take a lot of pride of winning games with defense, and you just said you've played 11 different positions. You know what I mean? You played shortstop growing up. You're patrolling the outfield a bunch in left field. If it was up to you, now I understand, you said you'll play wherever, but if it was up to you, top to bottom, which 3 positions would you play?
I'd got to pick out of the 3, or out of the couple positions. I like playing left field. It's fun being out there. You got to just chuck the ball when it's hit at you. Make maybe a couple assists. Love playing second base. Love being in the middle of the action. Turn 2, and I would love catching, just being that guy they can rely on, or, really thinking about the game. It gives you a different perspective playing all different positions. So getting back there behind the dish, it was my first time in pro ball. I hadn't caught since I was a freshman at Pepperdine when I was in college. And, it was just like a whole different ball game. You gotta be aware of who's hitting, mainly situations, what pitches the pitcher's like to fill in that day or wanting to throw. So it's a completely different ballgame, but those 3 definitely.
Kind of like a field general of sorts when you're a catcher. Yeah. And even at shortstop, you got a lot of responsibility there. Yeah. So it sounds like Austin's prepared for that. Austin, at Pepperdine, you mentioned Pepperdine. You were quoted as saying, quote, offensively, I was able to not let bad at-bats get to me mentally, end quote. What's your approach at the plate?
Honestly, I don't have any real fear of anything. That's what I try to think mentally. Just go out there and have no regrets. Like, go big or go home, and I don't care if I go home. I'm just trying to square the ball up, hit it, put a great swing on it, and looking for the pitch that I want to hit. That's basically what I'm thinking.
You're a self-proclaimed line drive hitter. Is there a hitter or hitters in today's game that you try to emulate?
There's so many swings I can go back and forth on. I love watching Barry Bonds, Japanese player Sadaharu, Mike Trout, Joey Votto, like all these guys, that do it all, but or hit the ball pretty far. But I would definitely say a guy who's more so able to control the bat, who can hit it wherever he wants, any situation, lay a bunt down if he needs to. Anthony Rendon, another guy I love watching hit. But like Jose Altuve, I can go on for days. Yeah. But it's amazing to see people who can do it all. And so usually guys like that are who I love watching. Matt Carpenter is another big one, and Murphy.
Fantastic examples. Altuve, Carpenter, Bonds, Trout, Votto. You just named a bunch of superstars. So I have to ask, you have a lot of baseball experience. Have you ever watched another player play and said to yourself, wow, he's going to be a star? And if so, who?
Well, I was fortunate to play with one, Juan Soto. That kid, I would love to go in the box and feel what he's feeling for a day. Just one at bat, You never know. You don't know what he has, whether his eyes are just different. He sees white, like as if he's colorblind and only sees white when the baseball's thrown at him, and it's just like he knows exactly where the ball's going to be when it's pitched. He is great zone discipline. Guy walks at least once a game, and that's one of the guys that you're just like, this guy's going to be a star. Or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That kid, when he played against us, I squared up everything before he got hurt. But you threw him. I saw him he broke a bat on a sinker inside and still hit a line drive. It's like, I don't think I could fist one that far,
Yeah. Wow. And Juan Soto, I mean, I'm running out of words for Juan Soto. It's really incredible what he's doing, and Vlad Jr., I mean, he's got the pedigree. What blows my mind about Vlad Jr. is his frame. Do you happen to notice like how big he is, particularly his lower half for the age of 19?
He is a big boy. There's not too many people who are that big, that young. So, I mean, you're only going to be able to – you're seeing the beginning of what he has, you know. As far as power numbers, they're only going to jump up and shoot up, skyrocket from what they are now.
Talking with Austin Davidson, second baseman for the Harrisburg Senators, Washington Nationals prospect. Austin, I want to get into Pepperdine a little bit. Before I get to that, you mentioned your uncle, some members of your family had influence on you. Who is your biggest baseball influences, plural?
It would have to be my family, all my past coaches. My dad, one awesome thing, he didn't play baseball growing up. He played football in high school, and my mom never played softball or anything. They're always just been there supporting me. They kind of learned the game along with me, like along watching me play. So they're basically there the whole time, and my biggest support. But also, I mean, my uncle, who he loves baseball. He's way back when, huge Red fan, and he just loves baseball. He understands the game. Like he knows all the small details that, you know, build chemistry and are great for a locker room and what it takes, like the right mindset and character and whatnot. So he's always, any phone call, any chance he gets to give you a call, he'll definitely let you know, like, hey, keep being a good guy, keep doing the little things, keep doing the right things.
What do you guys talk about as far as being like, and this by no means is this derogatory, but like being like a super utility fielder, if you will, you know, because you're playing a bunch of different positions, fielding, yeah.
I mean, I would say that they don't know the specifics of the position, of like what it takes to be a good second baseman, what it takes, like what you have to do to prepare to play third base or catch or play left field. But they're saying, hey, whatever that is, go out and do it. Go make sure you're taking extra reps at BP, like getting extra reps in the cage, like picking balls at first, like go talk to the pitcher, see what they want to throw during the game when you're sitting on the bench. It's like, hey, what would you guys throw right here? What would you do? So like just those little specs, when they tell me, hey, keep doing what you can do, that's what I think of.
Baseball's a game of like 10 million intricacies, so yeah. It's fun talking with Austin Davidson, second baseman for the Harrisburg Senators, prospect in the Washington Nationals organization. Austin, let's go to Pepperdine. Speaking of people who influenced your baseball upbringing, if you will, you chose Pepperdine because it's a great school with fantastic coaches. What impact did Coach Hertensteiner and company have on your development?
I mean, just giving me the opportunity, you know, like to go to a great school, good baseball, great academics, you know, and a great place close to home. So it made everything feel really comfortable to me. I was at a peace of mind, and they taught me how to play the game. They helped me learn a further style, like closer to the professional, of which I wanted to go to in the end. But they just helped me get there. They taught me what a routine was. They helped me when I needed, whether it be school, baseball. They were just huge role models, and they're there, you know, to guide me through that process.
For those who don't know, Pepperdine has produced a pretty good cast of pros, including Eric Thames, Chet Lemon, Randy Wolf, Dan Herron, Mike Scott, and Mike Fetters. Austin Davidson could be next. Obviously, Zach Davies, too. Don't want to leave him out. But speaking of Pepperdine, and it's listed on your Pepperdine student page, or baseball page, rather, that John Wooden's A Game Plan for Life book is your favorite book. Yeah. What are some of the biggest takeaways you have from reading John Wooden's wisdom?
Well, the pyramid of success is the biggest one. But the little stories about the small details, of which I talked about playing defense, knowing what you want to do. But there's a story, I believe is Bill Walton, when he was at UCLA, and John Wooden would have them put their socks on correctly because it would give them prevent them from getting blisters on their feet while they practice. Because if it was put on or the wrong way, it would rub a certain way, and then they'd be out for who knows how many days. If maybe they went to plant somewhere and they just didn't feel comfortable when they were taking a jump shot. So it was like the small details that they do now it'll affect them in the future. So do what you can to set yourself up for success. And I mean, so every time I put on my socks or do something, I'm thinking, it reminds me of that book, and then it brings me back to what it takes to be successful with the pyramid of success and all those little stories. That's why I love it. It helps me in my everyday life.
Austin Davidson, a man of John Wooden's wisdom. Austin Davidson, a second baseman for the Harrisburg Senators, the AA affiliate of the Washington Nationals. Austin, I grew up in Villanova. I attended Jay Wright's basketball camps when you were winning an Olympic gold medal. I appreciate great basketball, okay? I've read you're a basketball guy. Are you a Lakers fan?
Now I am.
You are now. Okay, so let's roll with that. By the way, he's also a Yankees fan, but we'll get to that later. How's it feel to now have the king at the Staples Center?
I mean, we got two kings now. We got the LA Kings, and now we got the greatest basketball player of all time, in my opinion. He was when I was growing up, it was LeBron. I was in his generation, so I got to watch him play, and he was my favorite player. And that's the only guy I've had jerseys when he was on Cleveland the first time, when he went to Miami, and now my uncle said last year he said if LeBron comes to LA, I'll get you a Lakers jersey. So I'm looking forward to that when I get home.
Have you ever seen him play live?
No, but I definitely will. I'm trying to go this off season.
Austin, you got to see him play. I mean, I hate to put pressure on Juan Soto, but Juan Soto or a Mike Trout or a Tiger Woods, or even a Tom Brady, if you will. Ovechkin, Crosby, this guy takes on a new level, takes on a new gear. Like, he can turn it up to another level gear that, like, he needs another league, much like Soto. And, oh my gosh, it's a thrill to watch. You have to see him.
I'm thinking about, like, Tom Brady. It's like watching him play in the Super Bowl. I have buddies back home like, I hate the Patriots, this and that. It's like, hey, I don't like the Patriots either, but this guy's, I think what we're witnessing is something that we're never going to be able to see ever again, once in a lifetime. It's like, why not? Why take it for granted? Like, let's just appreciate what he does. And same with LeBron, you know? That's the way I see it.
Yeah, it seems like the greats in the sport sometimes either don't get enough respect or take unnecessary flack. And I don't know, it could be, we're getting a little deep here, but it could be a little societal problem with like truly respecting greatness. Yeah. But as I just told you, I think LeBron is off the charts amazing. Like, I'll never forget watching him, and we'll get back to baseball, I promise. But I'll never forget when I was younger watching him like drive into the lane, and he just turned on the gear and like 1-2 step, and before anybody even got to them, the ball was dunked in the basket. And I couldn't even believe what I'd witnessed. But anyway, we're talking with Austin Davidson, second baseman for the Harrisburg Senators, the AA affiliate of the Washington Nationals. Austin, I want to double back to Pepperdine. Speaking of doubles. But anyway, my mom actually always always wanted to go there for the spectacular views and the setting, as well as a fantastic education. For those unfamiliar with Pepperdine, can you paint the picture of the beauty that your school brings to the table?
I mean, paint the beauty. It's a sight to see in its own. So, I mean, to describe it, it's sitting right on the side of a hill next to the Pacific Coast Highway, and you're in the middle of Malibu. It doesn't get much better than that. Whatever you see on TV with the beach in Malibu, that's basically what you're hitting into when you're swinging the bat. So, I mean, if you've never been, you definitely got to go out and check it, or maybe just Google it, and it might influence you to go out there and see it. Maybe attend a couple of baseball games at Pepperdine, but it's huge. Like, it's amazing. It was a big part of my life.
Got to go check that out, Pepperdine. Speaking of pepper, Austin, I want to play a game with you. It's called Rank That Pepper. Okay. I've got a list here for you. 5 peppers on it. You ready? Take a second. But the peppers we have for Austin are sweet pepper, roasted red pepper, habanero, poblano, chili, cayenne, jalapeno, or basically any hot pepper, bell pepper, and black pepper. You ready?
Okay.
Rank that pepper, Austin.
Bell pepper, black pepper, sweet pepper, roasted pepper, then all the rest. Habanero, poblano, chili, cayenne, jalapeno, and any other rest of etc.
So I take you're not a spicy food guy.
No, I hate spices, and I'm half Mexican, and so one side of my family's like everything's spicy, and it's like, hey, why are you not eating this? My dad always throwing hot things at me. I'm like, hey, I'll stick to the original, plain.
No kidding. Wow. Oh, you learn something new every day. I never thought I'd meet a half Mexican who doesn't like spicy food. But we're here talking to Austin Davidson, second baseman for the Harrisburg Senators. Thank you for playing Rank That Pepper. Austin, I understand you're a big Chick-fil-A guy.
Oh, I had it for lunch.
You had it for lunch today?
And yesterday.
Holy cow. What? Anyway.
And the day before that, I had it for breakfast. So.
Wow, he was not kidding. Okay, what's your go-to at Chick-fil-A?
What are you talking, breakfast or lunch?
Lunch.
Okay, I'm going with the number 1 original with no pickle, and I add American cheese, do a large fry, and a sweet tea.
Oh, that sounds so good. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
And you got to try the frosted coffee.
Frosted coffee.
Yeah, it's half coffee, half ice cream, and they mix it in the little like milkshake blender, and it's amazing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we're on a roll here. Can I hear your breakfast order too?
Breakfast order, let's go. We go, depending on what I'm feeling that day, I could either go from the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit with hash browns, or I can do the chicken scramble in the burrito. And I also got chicken minis with Carter Keyboom actually influenced me to get extra honey butter on the chicken minis, and so that's part of the process now. It's to die for.
Oh my goodness. Trust that Chick-fil-A process. I got a funny story for you. It's pretty fun. Do you have a weird uncle? I feel like everyone has a weird uncle.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got an uncle who once referred to Chick-fil-A as Chick-a-filla, and what turned out to be an all-time family table moment. So we, of course, now call it Chick-a-filla, in the family. But anyway, moving on here. Speaking of food, what's your ideal pregame meal?
Definitely start off with fruit, because sometimes I forget to drink as much water as I should be drinking to play. But fruit for the hydration. I'm used to eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Sometimes I'll have Chick-fil-A before the games. Nothing too heavy. I'm not a fast guy, so speed doesn't really matter. I don't have to worry about eating something too heavy or staying super light. But just some sort of sandwich.
Gotcha. Austin, do you have any, speaking of pregame stuff, do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions? Do you wear one sock longer than the other? Stuff like that?
Honestly, I have a routine of not routine, but there's certain items that I wear, but nothing's there because I think it might get me a couple hits. I kind of try and separate it, my play from how I look. I try to go out there and just honestly just hit the square the ball up, try to hit the ball as hard as I can, and I don't think what I wear has anything to do with it.
Okay, beginning to wrap up here with Harrisburg Senators second baseman Austin Davidson. Austin, you're about situated an hour and a half from LA, and you went to college within an hour of LA. Presuming you have one, what was your most significant celebrity encounter?
Well, when we were at Pepperdine, we won the West Coast Conference championship, and we had a party at Pamela Anderson's house. So that was probably one of my biggest run-ins down there in LA area.
Okay, well, if that doesn't paint the picture of what Pepperdine is or what it can be, then I don't know what else can. That's amazing. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. That I did not expect that. That's cool. Anyway, speaking of celebrities, Austin, UB40, this is on your Pepperdine page. Everybody's music taste can change. But apparently UB40 is your favorite band. Why UB40? What's your favorite UB40 track, and have you ever seen them live?
I unfortunately haven't seen them live. I always wish I could have, because my dad would always talk about it. Have you heard any of their songs?
Yeah.
Red Wine.
Red Wine, and there's another big one. I was just listening to it. Help me out. Something about love. Fools Rush In.
Yeah. I forget the exact name, but that one's not my favorite, so don't blame me for that. My favorite is Bring Me Your Cup.
Bring me your cup from the Cookin child, son. When you're empty, I'll fill you up. We'll drink it down till the sun comes up.
But yeah, I love all types of genres. I can go from country to hip hop, R&B, old school, super oldies. It's whatever I'm feeling is what's getting played. But UB40's got to be one of my all-time favorite bands, just because of the rhythm, the instruments, and I love hearing horns in songs. Whatever kind of music has that, I'm really attracted to, and that's why UB40 has a lot of them, like the trumpets. And then in hip hop, Chance the Rapper has Donnie Trumpet, who's one of his partners, and most of his songs have the trumpet in it. So I love listening to those beats.
So, by the way, UB40, I'm pretty sure they're touring on the East Coast this fall, maybe even part of the winner. So just a heads up.
Thank you.
Yeah, go see him. Last one here with Austin Davidson, second baseman for the Harrisburg Senators. Austin, you grew up a Yankee fan. That was apparently your first. Not apparently. That was your first Little League team. You're a big fan of Derek Jeter. Let's not talk about Jeter because everybody talks about Jeter. But what I want to ask you about is, can you put into words for me what it mean to you to beat the Yankees in a World Series as a member of the Nationals?
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, they're the number one, organization in Major League Baseball and just in terms of winning. 27 World Championships. Like, you can't argue with that when you talk about who's the greatest of all time. So to beat them would be unreal, and it's helping everybody else's cause of like trying to win a championship, and not letting them take another one. So I think it would mean a lot, especially doing it, like you said, as being a Yankees fan growing up and whatnot, always cheering for them.
That's sweet satisfaction. But Austin Davidson, thank you so much for your time. I know you got to get out to batting practice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate you having me.
Fun speaking with Austin Davidson. Can you even imagine winning an Olympic gold at the age of 14? I mean, really. I mean, that's pretty much the pinnacle of sports achievement, and this man did that at age 14. Fun interview. Although, if I may be perfectly honest, I think I would have pressed him just a little bit on the Pamela Anderson party. I didn't do so to protect him, but, when you're in the moment, it seemed like the right idea. But I would have said, all right, we need details. We need details, whatever you can share. Because that's Pamela Anderson's party. I mean, my goodness, that sounds like an amazing time. You put Pamela Anderson party in the sentence, some pretty great stories are bound to come of that. But regardless, that was a blast. Thank you to the Senators and Austin Davidson for talking to him. Wish him the best of luck. I actually have a video of him on my Twitter. I was doing the little ballpark live shots that I do, and he was batting, actually hit a double. So go check out my Twitter at HotStoveCast. It's pinned to the top of my profile. And if it's not there, head over to my website, HotStoveCast.com, and check out Live at the Park. And there's a direct link to that tweet with the video, so you can go see Austin Davidson hit a double. I do like his swing. It's level. He's a self-proclaimed line drive hitter like we discussed. So we shall see with Austin Davidson, but promising prospect with the Washington Nationals organization. Moving on here to a segment I like to call What's Cooking. I'm going to talk about the player names for the Players Weekend. It's awesome. Stick around for this, and immediately after, I'm going to dive into postseason talk. But yes, What's Cooking, Players Weekend edition.
Supper's ready. Come on, y'all. Been slaving over this for hours.
Are you gonna eat your tots?
I'll have what she's having.
Yes, What's Cooking? MLB Players Weekend is upon us from August 24th to August 26th. Yes, Friday to Sunday. MLB players will be wearing these jerseys with nicknames on them. They choose their own nicknames, and this is a Nationals episode. Let's start with the Nationals. Adam Eaton's nickname is Spanky. Personal favorite here, Eric Fetty. Fettuccini? Yeah, Fettuccini. Eric Fetty is Fettuccini. All right, let's go alphabetical order now. The Angels, Cam Bergersen is Bedrock. Andrew Heaney is Heen Dog. Andrelton Simmons is Simone. I don't know why that would be my favorite, but it's definitely up there. By the way, it's got a tilde on the M. Moving on here to the Astros, Yuli Gurriel is La Pina, which means the pineapple. You got me on that one. Jake Marisnick is Big Fudge, which is hilarious. He is a big dude. Moving on to the Oakland Athletics, Jed Lowry is Captain Barrel. Sean Manaea is the Maniallator. The Blue Jays, okay. Marcus Stroman is HDMH, which means height doesn't measure heart. God bless that man. Moving on here to the Braves, Luke Jackson is Skywalker. Moving on to the Brewers, Jesus Aguilar is El Causa. And by the way, the Hispanic ones are fantastic. A lot of them are. I Googled them. El Causa means the cause. Jimmy Nelson is Big Sweat. The Cardinals have Michael Waka is Guacamole. Marcelo Ozuna is the Big Bear. Carlos Martinez, Solid One Tsunami. Adolis Garcia is El Bombi, which is the bomb, I believe. Moving on the Cubs, El Mago for Javier Baez. That means the magician. This might be my favorite out of all of them. Carl Edwards Jr. is the String Bean Slinger. He's like 5'10", 170. Now, don't quote me on that, but he's a little guy, and he throws like 98, so kudos to him. That's hilarious. Moving on to the D-backs, Brad Boxberger just put a box in a burger emoji and put it on his jersey. That is innovative. I don't think that's ever been done before, so hat tip to him. I'm going to talk about him later in the show, by the way, toward the end of the show. Closing time. Could make an impact in the postseason down the stretch. But anyway, Dodgers, Walker Buehler, this is almost too easy. Ferris, you probably could have guessed that. Yasiel Puig, the Wild Horse. Ross Stripling, Chicken Strip. Chase Utley, Silver Fox, which is definitely a newer thing, but Chicken Strip is hilarious. Obviously, Chase Utley, bringing in the gray. So, Silver Fox. Giants, Brandon Crawford, DJ BC Raw. Alan Hansen is El Chamaquito, which means little boy. And I'm not even sure Alan Hansen is Hispanic, so that's even more hilarious. Gorkis Hernandez is Cazador, which means hunter. Pablo Sandoval is Panda, which you all knew. The Indians, okay. Yonder Alonso is Mr. 305, which someone give Pitbull a call because that is plagiarism. Melky Cabrera is the Milkman. The Mariners, okay. Nelson Cruz is the Boomstick. James Paxton, he's Canadian. Big Maple, really just a tremendous nickname. Moving on, Marlins, okay. By the way, the Marlins are I'm pretty sure they're the only team to make the World Series twice and win it both times. Fun fact about the Marlins. They've got Kyle Barraclaw is Bear, and Chris O'Grady is Grizz, so you got a Bear theme going there. Florida, the home of the free, land of the Bears. The Mets, okay. Bobby Wall is just Peanut. Don't ask me why. Noah Syndergaard is Thor, and this is tremendous. Jerry Blevins is it's there 3 times. It's all caps. JER-RY. So Jerry. That's amazing. So Jerry Blevins killing it. We talked about the Nationals. Fettuccine, Eric Fetty. Moving on, the Orioles. Paul Fry is Papa Frita, which is hilarious. Papas Fritas in Spanish means French fries, so tip of the cap to Paul Fry. The Padres don't have any names of note. Sorry, San Diego. Moving on, the Phillies. Austin Davis is Big Fudge, so him and Jake Marisnik are 2 big fudges. I'm sure they'll talk about that. Moving on to the Pirates. Ricardo Rodriguez is Perro Flaco, which means slim dog. So, and this is hilarious. Trevor Williams is just put project. He's a funny guy. He actually has his own podcast. He's a good follow on Twitter. I don't have his exact follow, but Trevor Williams of the Pirates, funny guy. Moving on, the Rangers. Joey Gallo is Pico de Gallo, or Pico de Gallo, which, as you know, is is salsa, basically. That's very clever. He plays for the Texas Rangers. Good for him. The Rays, okay. Sergio Romo is El Mecon, which means the lock. The Red Sox. Matt Barnes is Barnacles, for all you SpongeBob fans out there. Chris Sale is the conductor. Choo Choo. The Reds. Reds have some good ones. Joey Votto is In Flanders Fields, which apparently is a World War I Canadian battle reference rather. Raisel Iglesias is El Ciclone, which means the cyclone. Michael Lorenzen is the Zen Master, and my personal favorite, Homer Bailey, is aptly named Homer. I mean, come on. That's too good. The Rockies have a bunch of good ones. Tyler Anderson, Mr. Duck. Charlie Blackmon is Chuck Nasty with a Z, Nazty. David Dahl is Baby Doll, Dahl. Antonio Sensatella is Sensei. Nice. The Royals, Nate Carnes is Nate Dogg, which is so funny. I mean, come on. If you know even 1/10 of anything about Nate Carnes, I mean, come on. Does he remind you of Nate Dogg? Good for him. That takes the cake. The Tigers, Michael Fulmer is the plumber. I might actually buy that jersey. That's super tempting. Jacoby Jones is Juicy J. The Twins, Logan Forsythe is Logie Bear. The White Sox, Jose Abreu is Mal Tiempo, which means bad weather. You got me there, but that's what he did. And rounding out things with the Yankees, Aroldis Chapman is the Missile, and Gary Sanchez is the Kraken. But I'm sure I missed a bunch of good ones, but I went through the list, and those are the ones that really caught my attention. String Bean Slinger probably is my favorite. But yeah, check it out. I've tweeted it. The Players Weekend jersey names coming up in about 2 weeks, a little less, 13 days. So moving on here in the Hot Stove Cast, I want to talk about the playoff picture, and things are getting pretty wild here. Let's talk about the standings real fast before I get into the specifics. The division leaders in the American League, you've got the Red Sox at 81-34. The Houston Astros continue to do their thing at 73-42. The Cleveland Indians are 64-50. Those are the division leaders in the American League. The wild card is the Yankees have a 4-game lead in that. And the Athletics, what do you know, are 3 games ahead of the Mariners at 68-47. There's a pretty substantial drop after that. The Angels are 7.5 behind Seattle, so they're 10.5 out of the wild card. You could possibly see some movement in the Central Division, but it looks increasingly unlikely. It pretty much looks like an Indians runaway. In fact, I'll bank on that, actually. The National League, the Phillies lead the way in the East at 64-50. The Cubs are 66-48, and the Diamondbacks are 64-52. Tight one at the top of the National League. The Brewers are at the top of the wild card, 66-52. They are 2 games behind the Cubs for the division lead. But this is a really interesting playoff race, actually, because you got basically you got a ton of teams in it. Okay. The Brewers, like I said, they're there. The Braves are 62-50. They've got the second spot, but you got the Dodgers a half game behind the Braves. You got Colorado 3 games in back for the wild card. St. Louis 3.5 back. The way Matt Carpenter's playing, who the heck knows what's going to happen there? The Pirates made a bunch of deals. Chris Archer, that trade, I mean, that's a dang good trade for both sides. You might see the Pirates come and play. If the Nationals find a way to stay healthy, they're 4.5 back as well. They could find a way. And even the Giants are just kind of hanging around there. But then after that, it's dropped. The Reds are 13.5 back. But it's a very interesting postseason race in the National League. The Braves could beat the Phillies for the division lead. The Phillies are a game ahead of the Braves in the division. I think the Dodgers, given what they did at the deadline, I don't want to say they're a lock for a wild card, but they're definitely in play. I think the Brewers are struggling with pitching, particularly the bullpen is an issue for them. So we shall see with them. The Rockies, they're just kind of there. The Cardinals are there. I talked about Matt Carpenter. Who knows? Oh man, if Matt Carpenter keeps that up, it's tough to see the Cardinals not getting a playoff spot. They could even beat the Cubs. It's a little more of a stretch, but they're like, let's see, 3.5. They're 6.5 back of the Cubs. It's only August 9th. That's not crazy at all. But what really brings a playoff, and we'll stick with the National League to start, what really brings a playoff team together and really solidifies their chances of winning anything is starting pitching. So let's talk about that. We'll start with the leader of the league, the Cubs starting pitching. They have, leading things off, John Lester, he's on the DL right now. Kyle Hendricks, Quintana, Hamels is a quality pickup. I like Mike Montgomery. I'm not sure he gets postseason reps, but Cole Hamels has that postseason experience. I happen to think he'd be a great trade for any team. He's having his best year in like 5 years. At worst, he's like a 4 ERA guy this year, maybe 4.15, but I think he's got a little upside there. I don't know the specifics, but he stunk at Arlington, and maybe the heat was just getting to him. He's not a young guy. I believe he's a Cali guy. That's a lot of heat to handle. I don't know, but he stunk in Texas, and that could have had something to do with it. But the Cubs pitching staff doesn't wow me. The thing about the Cubs that wows me is that they probably are the best fielding team in the National League, and stuff like that goes a long way. It's overlooked. But if you can field, winning a playoff series basically boils down to who makes fewer mistakes. Unless you're just simply dominating and just a better team, like you're kicking their behinds by 5 runs every game, it boils down to who makes fewer mistakes, because every at bat, everything is magnified more. Base running, and I don't want to pick on the A's too much, but I watch them field, and I don't see it with them. I'll get to the A's later, I promise. But yeah, so that's the Cubs. The Phillies, this is intriguing. Okay, the Phillies should have your interest, and here's why. Their pitching staff is not only tremendous, it's underrated, okay? Jake Arrieta is listed at 1. No, it's Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola, on any day of the week, can pitch with anybody in the majors. Is he going to strike out as many people as Max Scherzer? No. But is he capable? Absolutely. Aaron Nola is dare I say, as good as Roy Halladay right now, as good as Roy Halladay ever was. I mean, seriously, this guy is dynamite. He's at the very least a top 10 pitcher in baseball. He's in the NL Cy Young conversation. I actually heard a guy on the Fan driving up to Rhode Island this week, in New York, the Fan in New York, say, okay, this is New York radio. Remember, they don't necessarily, with all due respect, they don't take super kindly to Philadelphia, because it's a rivalry. That's almost acceptable, honestly. But anyway, they said NL Cy Young conversation. Take your pick: Jake DeGrom, Aaron Nola, Max Scherzer, and he's dead right. You got a guy like World Series champion Jake Arrieta kind of behind him. I'm not as high on Arrieta as most are. He's got some underlying things that could backfire on him, but he's got a tremendous ground ball rate, which can bail him out of a lot of those problems. But I like Nick Pivetta a lot. Okay, I think Nick Pivetta is an underrated starter. He's got a higher ERA, but the stat nerds would tell you that he's poised for good things going forward. He's got those peripherals that are good. And if you have Vince Velasquez as your fifth starter, who, listen, I've bashed Velasquez for a long time. He's doing amazing things. Okay, I have to take back what I've been saying about him. He's putting it together, and it's impressive. It's really impressive what he's doing. And I'll tell you what, find a better fourth starter in baseball than Vince Velasquez. Maybe I'll do it in this podcast, maybe not, but it's at the very least he's a top 3 4 starter in baseball. I am confident in saying that. Let's go to the Diamondbacks. Wow, they are fantastic. Probably, of the teams currently in the playoff picture, you leave out the Nats because they're 4.5 back. They probably have the best 1-2 punch in Zach Greinke and Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin is fantastic. He's a monster. Zach Greinke is Zach Greinke. What else is there to say about him? But Corbin is borderline better than Greinke. I mean, on the site, I like to look at rosterresource.com/MLB-roster-grid. It basically shows all the MLB rosters. It's a great resource for your fantasy draft, or just if you want a depth chart thing in general, go to that. But yeah, and then you've got Robbie Ray, who when he's on, he's amazing, but for some reason he can't. All he does is like seemingly strike out 12 guys in 6 innings and give up 4 to 5 runs, and I can't explain it. I can't. I wish I could. 3 to 5 runs is more fair for him, but who the heck knows? I like the Diamondbacks. I picked them to go to the playoffs this year. It's just a great race in the National League. It really is. The Brewers. Here's why the Brewers, I think, are just going to. I thought the Brewers would be better, but I mean, listen to this starting rotation. You got Junior Guerra, Chase Anderson, Ulises Chassin, Wade Miley, Freddie Peralta. They need Jimmy Nelson to come back 4 weeks ago. Okay, I don't see it. I thought the Brewers would. Their bullpen's been faltering. Corey Knebel is not that good. It's tough to live up to what he did last year, but they're just not that good this year, and it's tough to see the Brewers holding on to that wild card spot, which I'd say give it to the Dodgers, see what happens there. Speaking of the Dodgers, their rotation is fantastic as usual. You got Clayton Kershaw, Rich Hill, Kenta Maeda, Walker Buehler, and Ross Stripling as well. I'm missing a guy, Hyunjin Ryu, if he comes back, but you roll into the playoffs with Kershaw, Rich Hill, Maeda, and Buehler. That's nasty. The Dodgers are certainly a player. The Dodgers, they might just be the best team in the National League right now. It's probably something like, it's probably the Dodgers, followed by the Cubs, followed by the Phillies, as far as the top 3 teams in the National League go right this second. But they're all very close. They all have their individual things that make them great. I'll talk about the bullpens later, but I will say the Phillies and Dodgers have a far superior bullpen to the Cubs. Not far superior, but definitely superior. How about the Braves? The Braves are in the picture right now, but I'll tell you what, they gotta hold on, and their pitching staff doesn't inspire me. I'm sorry. You got Julio Teheran, Sean Newcomb, who is playing over his hand for most of the season. Mike Foltynewicz throws hard, but he's not going to have an ERA better than 3.8. Kevin Gausman. These guys aren't, your Kershaw, Hill, Maeda, Buehler, Stripling, your Corbin, Greinke, Ray, caliber guys. So I struggle to see a picture where the Braves kind of excel here, okay? Let's talk about the Rockies because they are in it. Tyler Anderson, Kyle Freeland, John Gray, German Marquez, okay? The Rockies are actually sneaky good. I'll never forget that run they put on in 2007 when they won it was 21 out of 25 games or something. It might have even won 23 out of 25. It was insane. Tulowitzki and was incredible. I think Cargo was just beginning his He was just beginning, but it was incredible. But anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rockies had something in him. I love John Gray. I think he shouldn't have been sent down. I think John Gray can pitch with anybody on any given night. Tyler Anderson's having a little bit of a rebirth of excellence. He's scuffling a little bit lately. German Marquez is somebody to watch out for it, but that's a good 3-pitcher punch, okay? And if you have Kyle Freeland as your 4, so be it. We'll see about them. We shall see. I wouldn't rule it out, but we'll see. Really intriguing team to talk about now, okay? The Cardinals. And namely because, you can have all the talent you want, but when you have the best player in the league, you have the best player in the league. And the MVP right now goes to Matt Carpenter. I don't think it's that debatable. It really just isn't. The only way is you go to a pitcher, but none of the pitchers, Nola wouldn't get it. The Phillies in first. The Nationals are not winning, so you can't give it to Scherzer. But yeah, the Cardinals are doing things. Miles Mikolas is one of my favorite pitchers nobody talks about. Literally nobody talks about this guy, but he's kind of like this, not strike out a lot of guys, but have an ERA in the 2s kind of character, okay? And that goes a long way. He's kind of like the middle class's Aaron Nola, which might be selling it short, honestly. He could be upper middle class. You got him as your 1. Jack Flaherty's having a fantastic year. I like Jack Flaherty, a lot of strikeout stuff. That's a good one, too. They kind of drop off John Gant, Luke Weaver, Austin Gomber. They need somebody else, and unfortunately Alex Reyes is not there for them. Wainwright is hurt. They need a little more, and maybe they call it up through the system. I'd have to look into that to see, but that's holding the Cardinals back right now. They just lack pitching depth, and it's going to hurt them. But I'll tell you what, I like what the Cardinals are doing. I talked about it before. I think, in my opinion, they're becoming the Yankees of the NL East. They're going for these guys who pitch extremely hard, and they want to get boppers too. They want to get sluggers. So stay tuned on the Cardinals because they've got like Alex Reyes type guys who just are insanely nasty with their pitch. Stay tuned. The Pirates. Here's an interesting team. Okay, this is a team that could surprise people. They're 4.5 back out of the wild card. Okay, Chris Archer is basically a 1. While he won't pitch as many innings as guys, he can pitch as well as anybody on any given day. I don't think anybody will deny that. Jamison Tyone is a fantastic pitcher. He could be a 1 for a team. He's their second pitcher. Ivan Nova's having a good year. Ivan Nova's a stable, dependable 4 ERA guy, maybe upper 3s when at his best. But having that at your 3 is good. Trevor Williams, Joe Musgrove probably gets the edge there. The Pirates could call up a guy. They have some, and the Pirates have steady arms in the bullpen. The Pirates are just kind of that dark horse that could really shock some people. But I like what they're doing. I love the Chris Archer trade. They gave away a ton. Tyler Glasnow all of a sudden is excellent. Austin Meadows is a great player, but we'll see. And the Nationals, sorry Nationals folks listening. I mean, you have the pitching, okay? You got Scherzer, you got Strasburg if and when he comes back. That's a great one too. Hellickson, Roark, Gio. Yeah. It's not ideal. But I'll tell you what, the Dodgers, I honestly think the Phillies have the second best rotation in the National League. And the Dodgers can't really stay healthy that often. So stay tuned to that. I'm not going to make any predictions right now, other than I don't think the Brewers make the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen. The Braves are going to struggle too, so it is a beautiful wild card picture. I don't see the Reds making a run in the Mets, the Mets, Marlins, and Padres are pretty much out of it. So stay tuned for the NL. Let's move on to the AL because this is exciting too. And while it's not a massive race, it's a race, no doubt. All right, you got the Red Sox, you got the Indians, you got the Astros in the first place in the divisions. The Red Sox, baby, they are good. They're just good. Chris Sale, David Price, basically a 1-2 punch as good as anybody. Rick Porcello, Nate Eovaldi, 3-4. That's a dominant rotation. Okay. Nate Eovaldi was doing. That's a sneaky trade. I'm telling you. I was looking at him in my fantasy league. I was like, this guy's doing things. I might add him to my team. I knew he always threw 98. He threw hard. But tip of the cap to the Red Sox for doing some special things here. Cleveland. One second. Backtrack. The Red Sox are 81-34. Okay. The Astros are 73-42, and that's exceptional. Boston's winning 70.4% of their games, which. Let's do some quick math. Okay, 162. It's one. They're on pace to win 113 games. The Red Sox. Okay. Goodness gracious. Yeah, a standout rotation. Speaking of good rotations, the Indians. Corey Kluber, Carlos Carrasco, 1-2 as great as anybody, and Trevor Bauer. Excuse me, 1 second. Trevor Bauer, okay, is wow. He's amazing. He's having an incredible year. Holy cow. So that's basically the best top 3 pitchers in baseball of any team, I think. I don't even think that's debatable, frankly. I really don't. If you want to debate me, tweet me. Please let me know. But I don't see that being beaten, which is they have some bullpen woes, which explains why their record is only 64-50. But yeah, really exceptional on their part. Clevenger, Bieber, you could pick one of those two guys to be a 4-starter. Hey, good for them. The Indians are well set. The Astros, here we go. Woo-wee. Oh, speaking of debates, okay, Verlander, Morton, and Cole is on par with those guys. They're on par. Fine. All right. I borderline take that back. They are on par. And then you have Dallas Keuchel at 4. It's like, oh my goodness, this team is still monstrous. And they've got a 5th guy who is not listed. I'm pulling this up now. Who's not here? McCullers, right? Yeah. Okay. So the Astros had the best rotation in baseball. I don't even think that's deniable at this point. I've been saying that for a while. I don't think that's any shock to anybody. But the Yankees, okay. All right, so those are your division winners. I don't think anybody's catching those guys. They just aren't. The only way, man, if the A's are 5 games back of the Astros, that would be so substantial if the A's pulled that off. The Mariners are 8 games back. That's not happening. Sorry, Seattle. Goodness. Okay, so let's talk about the Yankees, who have a 4-game lead in the wild card, who are not a guarantee to make the playoffs. Seattle would have to be their main competitor. The Yankees rotation. Okay, you got Severino at the top, who's an absolute stud. As good as anybody in the game. Then you got a drop. You got Sabathia, Tanaka, Lynn, Chance Adams. They could call up Justice Sheffield. They could call up Eric Swanson, guest on last week's show. Check out that interview. It's a fun interview with Eric. Speaking of Jerry, we talked about what him and Jerry Springer could potentially have in common if if Eric were to be on a TV show someday, what show would he be on? But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. The Yankees rotation is just simply not that good. However, the Yankees have 4, give or take, guys in their bullpen who could be closers on 90% of the teams in baseball. Now, I told you I'd get to closers later, but the Yankees are there. Stay tuned for that. Oakland. Okay, I was talking to a friend of mine about Oakland, and he was telling me, dude, the A's have the it factor, and you can't deny that. But I told him, they don't have the pitching. They just don't. Sean Manaea is their 1, Edwin Jackson, Trevor Cahill, Brett Anderson, Mike Fierce. I like the Fierce pickup, but that doesn't scare me. It doesn't do it for me. The A's, here's what the A's have an advantage over everybody. They basically are the baseball think tank. They do it as well as anybody. Okay, the best teams are Theo Epstein's Cubs, Friedman's Dodgers, and the A's. And I suppose you could throw the Indians in there. You could throw the Yankees. The Red Sox to an extent, but even then, I think they're more just like talent over that kind of data mindset, And even the Phillies have entered this conversation, which blows my mind personally, but it's factual at this point. The Phillies are doing things much like the A's with less talent. They're winning more games than the talent on the field necessarily should produce, and that's the beauty of analytics. But anyway, the Athletics, they don't inspire me. I'm sorry. You go through their lineup, like Matt Chapman is their best player, who's pretty good, but they just don't do it for me, all right? They're going to beat up on these teams. They have better intel than everybody. They really do, but they don't do it for me. So the A's, they're probably going to make the playoffs at this rate. The Mariners are just falling apart. James Paxton, as great as anybody, okay? James Paxton is a stud. Marco Gonzalez having a good year. Mike Leake, Wade LeBlanc, Felix Hernandez, which apparently Felix has his rotation spot is in jeopardy, apparently. They're not even thinking about, rather, they're thinking about not pitching him this coming weekend or skipping his. I don't even know what they're going to do, but this is a report I heard, and Felix Hernandez might not be a starting pitcher going forward. Crazy, right? But when you look at his stats, it's not as crazy. So that's pretty much the AL playoff picture. The The Angels need a run of epic proportions. They're 10.5 back. They're a 500 team right now. They have 44. Is it 44? 58 and 58. They have 46 games remaining. They're basically out of it. Same with the Rays. The Rays traded like sellers. Yeah, so that's your picture. Unless the Mariners find a way to beat the Yankees, that's a hill to climb. It's a hill. They have 47 games left, and they're 7 games back. The Yankees would have to stumble, which isn't impossible. With that bullpen, who sees that? I feel like the AL playoff picture is very much set. Like, you could see these teams starting to game plan. All right, who's going to play who? But what's interesting about the wild card is that kind of puts a wrench in that too. So, yeah, that's your playoff picture. Stay tuned to the NL because it's so compelling right now. It's amazing. You've got, obviously, I think no one really is a lock. I mean, how far back is San Francisco? Is 7. They are what looks like 6.5 back of Arizona. That's probably not going to happen. The Giants just aren't that good. But you have a wild card that's 1 game separated. You have the team behind it's a half game out. It's the Dodgers. Then you have 4 more teams that are within 4.5 games. Okay, and again, the Giants would have to go on an amazing run, but it's not impossible for them to do that. You've got 9 teams competing for 4 spots. Okay, the NL wild card is super compelling. Stay tuned for that. But I like the Phillies. I like the Dodgers. I like the Indians, and I like the Red Sox, and even the Diamondbacks because, again, pitching. That's what seals it in the postseason. And speaking of pitching, let's move the show forward here and get to closing time, where I'm going to talk about pitchers, relief pitchers, obviously closers, who could make an impact in the postseason.
There's no crying in baseball.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
Yes, it's time for closing time. There's no crying in baseball. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Like I said, I'm going to talk about some major league pitching, closers rather, that are going to make a difference down the stretch and potentially difference in the postseason. I mentioned Brad Boxberger, who, while he's not the best closer, he's got a 4.65 walks per 9, which is unspectacular, surely. He's got a 50% ground ball rate. He strikes out 12.4 per 9, which is among the better guys. I think perennially he's been underrated. Okay, he's got 26 saves, and the Dodgers have themselves a team. Now, is it the best? No, but he's good. One kind of chink, if you will, is that Boxberger has an average fastball velocity of 91 miles an hour, which is not the best in the world. It's not going to cut it. So something to keep an eye on is Brad Boxberger, but he's among the weaker closers for sure. Let's just jump right to the best, sticking to the National League, some guy named Kenley Jansen, who you've probably heard of. Although he's kind of having a down year. He's only striking out 10 per 9, which is... now, granted, he started off the year slow. Last year, he struck out 14.36 per 9. He's always, years before, 13.63, 13.76, 13.91. Oh, my gosh. I'm reading those numbers and just, disbelief. But he's amazing. This year, his velocity has definitely jumped up recently. I'm talking, since basically mid-July. He's experienced the spike, which, is great for any pitcher. So keep an eye on Jansen. I'm actually going to, let's see if I can look at his numbers the past 30 days to kind of jump off that. Yeah, he's got a 12 strikeout per 9. So he struck out what looks like 18 batters in 12 innings. Last 30 days, that's his last 12 innings. But yeah, so Kenley Jansen, fantastic pitcher. Man, the Dodgers are good. The Dodgers are just good. Tough to see the World Series not going to the American League, but you never know. That's why they play the games. Pedro Strop is kind of the de facto closer in Chicago. He's got a 2.74 ERA. He throws 95, throws a slider and a cutter and a fastball, so not your typical 2-pitch guy. Leave it to the Cubs to kind of do a little trickeration, if you will. Got a 16.5% swinging strike percentage, which in the National League is the best among the closers there. I love swinging strike percentage. It's a great stat. Highly recommend it. So watch out for Pedro Strop. The Cubs, man. The Cubs, much like the A's, just find ways. They find ways. The string bean slinger. They find ways to beat you, and you won't see them coming. And that's just what they do. The Phillies have kind of entered that territory, as I mentioned earlier. Sir Anthony Dominguez, 2.45 ERA. He's scuffling of late. His velocity is taking a dip. He's probably just. I actually did like a mini profile of sorts on my Twitter. You should probably just, search at HotStoveCast and then type in Dominguez, and you'll find that thread where I talk about how he's on pace for 88 innings in the regular season, which is like 21 more than he's ever done before. And this year is his first year closing, so he's airing it out with velocity. His average fastball velocity is like 98, which is I've got a whole list here of guys. It's second on this list. I've got all the impact closers here. Your Trinans, your Diaz, your Jansen, Chapman, Kimbrel, Strop, Boxberger. He's second on this list, but it's down lately. He's got where'd it go? 15.6 swinging strike rate. He's a monster. He's an absolute beast. But if he struck, those 88 innings don't even include the postseason. So, the Phillies have a conundrum on their hands. I think the Phillies bullpen is strong. It's not Yankees strong, but it's strong. So the Phillies, man, they are that dark horse that could just surprise everybody. Sticking with the National League. Actually, I believe that wraps it up for the National League. So, like the Brewers, I talked about Knebel, who, as far as the guys who I think are impact players, Knebel's Aroydis Vizcaino ain't doing it for me. Sorry. Neither is Knebel. The Rockies have a revolving door at closer. So we shall see. I just got word here. Mookie Betts has hit for the cycle. Pretty cool. Speaking of cycles, this show's coming full circle, talking about cycles at the beginning and the end. But yes, the American League closers to wrap things up here on the Hot Stove Cast. Boston has Craig Kimbrel, who is an absolute beast. Kimbrel has a 2.49 ERA. It's a 4 walk rate, which is surprising. Very surprising. He's throwing 97. Fastball, curveball guy. He's so good. Man, he's fun to watch too. He's got like that poise on the mound. He's got that stance he does. Craig Kimbrel, 33 saves. Second in the American League to Edwin Diaz, who has a 1.96 ERA. This guy's a monster, okay? He has the lowest walks per 9 out of, except for Jansen. Out of all the guys in this list at 2.45. He has a swinging strike rate of 19, which is, by my calculation, the best in the majors as far as closers go. That's insane. Holy cow. He's a beast. And, I'm kind of rooting for, I root for great baseball, okay? And then I root for the Phillies second. But, I'm objective here, as objective as can be. And, you might think I'm not. But really, I tell you all the time, all the Mets, I think, are on the cusp of being really good. But I'll tell you what, Edwin Diaz, I want the Mariners to make the playoffs because I want to see him in the postseason. I do. I really do. And in order for that to happen, either the Yankees or the A's have to beat them. And the A's have, shockingly, what looks like the best closer in baseball. That I talked about that Sean Doolittle, Blake Trinan trade. Jesus Luzardo is winning like AAA Pitcher of the Month awards, by the way. And I've looked further into that contract situation. This is like one of the first things I talked about on the show, this Sean Doolittle, Blake Trinan trade. The Nationals, unfortunately, were swindled. They wind up paying Doolittle $4 million to get, frankly, worse production. Now, Blake Trinan's absolutely killing it with a .93 ERA. He's better, sorry. And you combine that with what the A's do as far as knowledge goes, and you just get a Superman. You get a Superman, okay, who's got an 18.4 swing strike rate. Oh my gosh. I have this stat called O swing percentage, this is important for pitchers. Now, I'm getting very technical here, but bear with me, I promise. It's a stat worth noticing. O swing percentage is pitches swung at outside of the strike zone, hence O, right? O. So out of all these guys, Blake Trinan has a 42% swing strike percentage, which is leaps and bounds ahead of everyone here. The next closest guy is Pedro Strop, go figure, at 39.8. Okay, it's all about the data, man. The teams that do the most studying, the teams that are prepared, they're just better. And man, it's amazing seeing the numbers that these teams have that enables guys like Pedro Strop and Blake Trinan to be two of the most dominant relief pitchers in baseball. I haven't gotten to Aroldis Chapman with his 2.25 ERA. He's got a 4.7 walk rate, but he strikes out 16.16 guys per 9. Good Lord. Are you kidding me? 16.3% swing strike rate. In case you were wondering, he's got a 33.7 O-swing percentage. He had a down year last year, but I think he was just burnt out from winning that World Series with the Cubs. He needed a year to get back. He has an average fastball velocity of 99.2. Can you comprehend that for a second? 99.2 miles an hour. Hello? That's absurdly amazing. Man, Aroldis Chapman falls on that list of guys who, if you've never seen in person, you need to. I saw him walking the pen once in Washington. Go figure. Washington episode very much. His legs are so long. Like, holy cow. He's massive. He is a specimen of a human being. You need to see him in person. You'll never believe it. It's like, no, I was going to compare him to CC Sabathia, but it's not a fair comparison. One's wider than tall. But Chapman, he's built like a horse, okay? He would literally resemble a pony if he were on all fours. I'm just being serious, okay? He has massive, massive legs, and where else is he getting that power from with pitching? But that pretty much wraps things up here on the Hot Stove Cast. Talked about all the pitchers who I think are going to have big impacts down the stretch, and you need a great closer in order to be a serious contender. And teams like, with all due respect to Boxberger, he's just not quite that caliber. The Diamondbacks are there, but they're simultaneously not. You got guys like Sir Anthony Dominguez, Kenley Jansen, Edwin Diaz, Blake Trinan, Craig Kimbrell, Chapman, and even throw in Pedro Strop to this mix. These teams are for real. They're players. One of the Boxberger's swinging strike rate is only 9.6. The next lowest in this list is Kenley Jansen at 13.2, and then the next lowest is like Sir Anthony Dominguez at Sir Anthony Dominguez at 15.6. Okay, that just gives you that's a big discrepancy. It might not sound a lot, but it is big. 9. I'm getting very technical here, but 9 is kind of an average swinging strike rate, so you go from there. But yes, anyway, that was very analytical. If you stuck through that, thank you. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate all of you who do. Tweet me at HotStoveCast. Follow me on Instagram. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Comment below. Please subscribe. Hit that red subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on iTunes. Like my Facebook page. I have content there. I have content on Instagram as well. My goal is to finish my website come Saturday. I will be in Hartford, Connecticut, watching the Hartford Yard Goats. Should be a great time. Very excited for that. But yeah, going forward, this is a blast. Thank you so much for listening. You guys are what makes this show worth it. Please follow me on all the social media. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. And thank you for listening.
If you ain't first, you're last.